currently use? Okay. How many of you currently use Cash App? If you use Cash App now in order to do your services, put a 1 in the chat room. If not, put a 2. If you do use it, put a 1. If you don't, put a 2. I see 1s, 2s, 1s, 2s. All right. 2s. Lots of 1s. What about in the room? Who currently uses Cash App? You don't use it? Do you guys use it? One person. Okay. So wonderful. There will be a part of our presentation where we will talk about it. Lakeisha says she uses it for personal use. Okay. Well, we have a few pointers we want to make sure that you use. And we want to make sure that we have it, that we're going through. Since we're talking about finances, I want to know if you're vulnerable enough. Tell me how much you're gonna make this year. Put it down. I want it to be here and now. Make a declaration, put it in your head. You can yell it out in the chat room. How many millions you're gonna make this year? I really wanna know that. 1.5. 1.5, all right. We got a 1.5, it's like an auction. How many 100,000s? How many millions? What we gonna make this year? Put it in the chat room. 200,000. I like that number. Anybody else? Who's gonna make some money? 500,000. We got an auction. 40,000. We got it going. Who else? Anybody else? Anybody else? As many thousands as I can. I know that's right. 1 million. Thanking God in advance. Oh yes, I love it. Love it, love it. This is amazing. Looks like we can get started in a moment. Nobody else out there? Okay. Good. All right. Yes. Yeah. It is part of this discussion. So the question was, one of the young ladies that is in here, she uses Square as her system, the POS Square. And she asked whether or not Square bought Cash App. So I am going to leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger before we do that. So hold on 1 second and we'll
Good morning to everyone. We are so excited about today's workshop. So welcome to everyone that's in the room, but also welcome to everyone that's out there virtually. I think you're going to be in for a treat with our facilitators today. We're talking about Cash App Me the right way, making sure we have the right financial structure. But before we get into some of that, let's talk a little bit about some housekeeping for our virtual folks. If you will, please make sure you are muted. If you have any questions throughout the sessions, please feel free to put those in the chat as those things are being monitored. We are live streaming and we are recording, so this will be available on our website as well as on Richland County YouTube. Also, just a little disclaimer, the views and opinions expressed in this workshop are those of the facilitators and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions or procedures of Richland County. Also, just want to make you guys aware of, if you need to reach out to our office, you can reach us at 803-576-1540, or you can reach us at richlandcountysc.gov/OSBO, which we'll actually put in the chat for you. We want to make you aware of some upcoming events. On February 25th, we actually have a Google partnership, and we'll get that opportunity to work again with little Miss Shanice Cleckley. On February 25th, we will have learn about investors and loan options for your small business. And on February 28th, we'll have make better business decisions with analytics. Also, coming up starting March 17th, we will be launching our first Lunch and Learn. And this particular Lunch and Learn will be centered around building a powerful capability statement. The Lunch and Learns will be every third Thursday of each month. So stay tuned and please check out our website for additional information. And then lastly, I'll make a quick plug. We will have a grant that will be launching in the spring of this year called Seeds to Engage. Please stay tuned for the information. We do have some of the eligibility requirements out there on our website as well. So the reason that you're here is to hear about Cash App and your financial structure. We'll have one quick 5-minute talk about being an SLBE. Are there any SLBEs in the room with us today? What about there virtually? Do we have any SLB, small local business enterprises that are out there? If so, wave your hand or put it in the chat. And so we're just going to take a couple minutes to hear from our certification and compliance specialist, Margaret Jones, about our SLBE program, and then we'll move along from there. Great to see everybody. We look forward to great participation and great energy. Margaret, it's on you.
Good morning. I'm going to talk about the benefits of being certified with the Office of Small Business Opportunity. The benefits of being a certification, you can receive maximum exposure via our SLBE directory. You're eligible for SLBE utilization goals. You're eligible for prime projects and shelter market. You're a candidate for business development opportunity, training, and networking. And we do feature stories on our website. We have 2 areas of certification, which is our SLBE, which is a small local business enterprise, and the other one is ESLBE, which is emerging small local business enterprise. Your business must be located in Richland County for at least 1 year prior to submission of your application. But if your business is not located in Richland County, if you have 25% of your employees that lives in Richland County, you can be certified. You have to be independently owned and operated and agree and comply with the requirements, which is enforced by OSBE. We have 6 certifying categories, and the categories are construction, architect, professional services, non-professional services, engineering, and wholesale. And do you have any questions for me? Okay, I will turn it back over to Michelle Rosenthal.
Thank you, Margaret. I'm Michelle Rosenthal, the Business Development Coordinator, and I'd like to do a quick introduction of our speakers. The first speaker we have is Shanice Clickley, and she really doesn't need an introduction because she's well known throughout the area, but she is the CEO of Smart Cookie, a boutique business development agency that focuses on digital skills and business education training, and Dream Launchers, Inc., a business coaching firm that focuses on teaching faith-driven female entrepreneurs on how to incorporate their faith, personality, and lifestyle into their business operations and strategic plans. She is also a co-host for the nationally syndicated The Big Red Radio Show. Her awards include a 2021 SC Women in Business for Consulting and 2021 Best in Business Coaching. If there is an entrepreneur gene, that is definitely part of Shanice's DNA. She is Superwoman in my book. Her journey into the business began nearly 20 years ago when she accidentally discovered she could get paid for making custom candy wrappers. She made those wrappers for a friend at a wedding. From that point on, she evolved that little candy making business to full service mobile dessert catering company serving celebrity clients such as the NCAA champions of U of SC, the Lady Gamecocks, USC Olympics, World Basketball Teams, NCAA champions of U of SC basketball team, and Beyonce's On the Run tour. Now, I attended that tour and I was up in that little fancy area and I tasted some of them cookies. I just didn't know who she was. They were delicious. When I say delicious, couldn't keep my hands off. I was even asking a few of the other fans, can I get one? You're not gonna eat that, are you? That was me. So, and Shanice is married to the love of her life. She's a proud mom of 4 extraordinary intergenerational kids. And she's grandma Nee of 1 amazing granddaughter. On her platforms, she shares her real life and inspires to live abundantly through entrepreneurship. Now, if you want to learn more about Shanice, I encourage you to visit her website. She has a wealth of knowledge and information that you can use. The next person I'd like to talk about is Ronnie Bearcat. This is a very pleasant man, smart, super smart he is. I just fell in love with him, just talking with him over the phone. And of course, he's an accountant, and I love people that definitely know their business with their numbers. They keep me straight. But he's the president of Bearcat and Bearcat that's located in West Columbia. He specializes in tax return preparation, financial statement preparations, business valuations, and litigation support services. His experiences include international paper, work in general office, Georgetown SC and the division office, Mobile, Alabama. Received the CPA designation in South Carolina in 1979, received the CVA designation in 1997. Some of his professional and civic activities include South Carolina Association Certified Public Accountants, Central Chapters of Certified Public Accountant, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Award Certificate of Education Achievement for completion of an integrated program in business evaluation by AICPA. He has a list of credentials, and I'm going to encourage you to look on their website. While you're trying to get you an accountant, go to Bearcat, and Bearcat. He's a Gamecock as well. He graduated in June with a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. Interesting facts about Mr. Ronnie is he resides in West Columbia. He's married to Mary Bearcat, and they have 4 beautiful children and 3 grandchildren. Next person will be Daniel Carlson. You'll see him interjecting here and there, but he's also part of Bearcat, and Bearcat. He's the executive vice president. He's a certified accountant, specializes in accounting, tax advisory, and compliance services for privately held pass-through entities and individual clients. His experience include he passed the CPA exam in 2002, Burke Knight, Pietrus, and Stormer, PA, CPA. His education includes, he's a Gamecock. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. He's a Master of Accountancy. Interesting facts about Daniel is he's married to Michelle Jackson. They have 4 children, River, Jackson, Catherine, and Emily, and he's a lifelong resident of Columbia, South Carolina. I will turn this over to the one and only Shanice Clickley.
Hey, y'all, I'm back. So glad to have you here. I'm going to go ahead and start our presentation and bring it up for us. Now, although I do digital skills, I'm an Apple person. And so when I get on with a regular computer, I get all befuddled, but that's okay. We're gonna do this. Hey, y'all, we're talking about Cash App. Thank you so much, Michelle and Richland County for everything. And to you guys in the room, y'all the goats. Woo-hoo! You came outside, y'all came outside. Okay, here we go. First thing I want to let you know that Ronnie and I decided to wear the same colors because we wanted to color coordinate for today. So Ronnie, you did a great job. I'm so excited about that.
I did as you told me to do, Shanice. So
I'm good. I'm glad. So in this workshop today, what we're going to go over is some common financial goals as a business that really needs to be on your radar. We're going to go over some basic bookkeeping basics, just a few things that Ronnie will go over more, but I want to make sure that you hear it and really let it solidify. We're going to talk about the difference between the mobile payment system and an accounting system, because those are two different things. And then cash app best practices. Those are another thing we're going to go over. So let's look at some common, I'm going to let this go down for everybody else. Let's look at some common financial business goals. We're in business. We are here to make money. So when you're in business to make money, what do I need you to do? Increase your revenue. That's a goal. So how can you do that? You increase your profit margin, you reduce your costs, and you look at your return on investment. So this is something that you don't really get into when you're in business is, I want to do it. I have a passion. This is great. But the reason I told you pick a money goal is because you really do need to have sales and revenue goals. And how you get that money is by making sure that your profit margin is big. What is profit margin? That means the cost of doing services is lower than it means to sell the services. So if you make dolls and your dolls cost $5 to make, you can't sell it for $6. That's a low profit margin. But you could sell it for $10, which has a $5 profit margin in there. You know, you got that 50% that's in there, and bam, you're making more money. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to increase the value of these things and I'm going to make it cost $20. Look how much money you made off of it. So that's what I mean by increasing your profit margin. So we got that same doll. That doll then is going to be $5. What if you locally sourced it instead of getting it for overseas? And now you can go back to $4. What if you streamline your processes and now you're making it go $3.50? That's reducing the cost to make it. And return on investment. That's marketing, that could be vending, that could be a wealth of other things that you got going on. But you want to make sure that the money that you put into your company is coming out. So these are some common financial goals that you really want to put on your radar as we're talking about money and finances.
Shanice, can I make a comment here?
Of course.
Go back to that slide if you would, because this is a powerful slide for people who are in business currently or going to be in business. And I tell my clients this all the time. There's two ways to make money. One is to increase your revenue, and the other was to reduce your costs. And you can make as much money on the buy side of your products as you can on the sales side. But you need to be smart about both on the sales side and on the buy side. So pay attention to what you're talking about, what have to pay for products, and reduce that cost as much as you can. You did some examples of that, Shanice, and I think they were great examples, but this is a very powerful slide for people who are in business. You can make as much money on the buy side as you can on the sales side. So pay attention to your costs. Also pay attention to what you're selling your products for. So I love this slide, Shanice. That's a great slide. You did a great job explaining to people about that. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Ronnie. I feel so great since you have all those certifications. Here we go. Let's look at some bookkeeping basics, okay? Bookkeeping basics. What are the things that you need to do to make sure that you have a great financial health? One is make records of all financial transactions, everything, little things, even your fees, anything that comes across. When we say reconcile your accounts, some people have more than one business account, and some people pay things out of their personal account. Reconciling means knowing that when you have done your books and you have it together, that what you spent shows on your bank account. What you put in shows on your bank account. Everything is going tandem, one and the other. You see it together. Managing your bank statements. Look at them. Too often, we may be charged for things that we don't even know why we're getting charged. You can talk to your bank. You can figure out what's going on. Stop using those ATM fees, all those things that you have that could really be taking money out of your account. Accounts receivable. Now, those are those accounts that you've built people and you forget to follow up. Follow up on them. In a small business, it is your responsibility to make sure people pay their bill. I know you think you're bothering folks. You're not. I have mine set up automatically. I have to tell my system to stop. If I don't tell my system to stop, it's gonna send you one every day. It gives you 7 days, maybe a month or so, depending on what I put the parameters as. Then the next thing it'll say, oh, you didn't pay. Oh, you didn't pay. Oh, you didn't pay again. Oh, you didn't pay. Oh, you didn't pay again. So I have to say, hey, can you give me a date? And when they tell me, oh, this is when I'm gonna pay, I have to go in and turn it off because I like my coins. Let's just be real. Then you have accounts payable, pay your debts. You gotta pay your debts. So when you owe people, especially if you're working with other small businesses, remember, this is their bread and butter. This is not some large corporation that has money that's just sitting to the side. If you are working with a small business or anything, pay them because that is great. Karma, reciprocity helps you with your debt. And then be a liaison for your tax preparer. Find one that really works in business preparation. Because when you are self-employed, there's several different tax strategies or tax brackets that you have to go in. I will let Ronnie talk about those. They are a part of his presentation, but let's just say it's a lot of rules. Prepare financial statements, profit and loss. One part of the grant that Richland County has is you must have a profit and loss sheet. What is that? That's a financial statement. That can be done with an accounting system, and we'll get more into that later. Then you're looking at payroll. If you are paying yourself, which I hope you are, if you are paying 1099 people, if you're doing interns, if you're paying the little kid the sweep, that's payroll. You gotta put it down and keep an accounting of it. Payroll taxes. So these are a few of the things that when you're bookkeeping and bookkeeping yourself that you have to keep a handle on. All right. If I want to make sure, let's see if there are any questions that are in here. Nope, I don't see any right now.
I'd like to make a few comments if you don't mind too, because again,
Yes, sir.
This is a very powerful slide for people who are currently in business or people going into business. First of all, when you talk about recording your financial transactions, that's critically important. And the way I explain it to our clients is, first of all, if you're in business for yourself and you're paying 25% taxes on your income, if you pay $100 or something, you don't account for it. If you paid it, it's going to cost you more money. You didn't deduct it. So you just save yourself 25 cents if you accounted for it. So it only costs you $75 instead of $100. So you want to make sure you account for all your financial transactions. Reconcile your bank account. Now I'll tell you, I've been married almost 50 years. In July, I'll be 50 years with my wife. And I talked to her about reconciling our bank account all the time. And she said she would not have married an accountant or CPA. She had to reconcile a bank account. She believes there's still checks in the checking account. Everything's okay. There's money in that checking account. So anyway, I got to be careful about that. So she does not reconcile a bank account. I do that, and I do it pretty often. Okay. And then you talk about managing your bank statements, preparing bank reconciliations. All this stuff is critically important. And you talk about liaison with your tax preparer. Whoever you choose to prepare your tax return with, make sure you spend time with them. Again, they can help you save taxes. They can make suggestions. We'll talk about some of those. And then financial statements, which you're going to get into, and I'll get into more. You got to know whether or not you're making money or losing money. And if you're not making the kind of money you want, where can you fine tune your business? Normally you can tell that is by looking at the income and your expenses. And you talked about payroll, we'll talk about this later, but all this is, this is critically important for people who are in business. All these things you've got in the slide. So thank you for putting this together. Okay.
No problem. So let's look at the difference between a mobile payment system and an accounting system. So we're really getting now into the heart of Cash App. So a mobile payment system is the way that money is made to you on a mobile device, okay? An accounting system is how you keep those business records. So it's the way that you get paid is a mobile system, a mobile payment system. Cell phone, tablet, you buy their device, however you do it, it's a product. An accounting system is how you keep all the financial records of your business. Here's your example. Let's talk about Cash App. So what exactly is Cash App? Cash App's real name is Square Cash. It is owned by the Square company. Square is backed and the brand name for a bank. Square is actually a bank. And in that bank, they have products, just like your bank has credit cards and checking accounts and what else they got? Savings accounts, brokerage accounts, all those things. Square has Square Cash, Square POS, Square Capital, Square Financing. It has those. So Square Cash or Cash App is just one product that is focused on only transferring money. That's it. That's all it does. It is the easy way to transfer money. The way they came about is like PayPal. Back in the day, y'all remember PayPal? PayPal was that thing that you had to go through, but nobody really liked PayPal because you got to sign up. You got to do this, you got to do that. Square said, you know what? We're gonna make this better. If you have a social security number, and if you have a way for us to deposit the money, we're gonna give you Square Cash. Now, the point of sale system, like Francis was talking about, that's the one that is truly a sales system where you can do inventory, where you can take in money, you can take in checks, you can take in credit cards. With Square Cash, it is only liquid cash. That's it. That's the difference. So that means it's a cash register. So we're in was 2022? Yeah, it's 2022. If you are a Gen Xer, like me, and if you might have been some Zillennials, and definitely baby boomers, remember back in the day when you used to go to a grocery store or someplace and you have this big old machine that's set on the counter. And the machine said, boop, 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 ka-ching, boop, 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 ka-ching, and it make all those noise. It's a cash register. Then this drawer would open up. You would give them a little thing called cash. I know we don't see it much anymore. You give them this little thing called cash, you put it in the drawer and you close it. That's Square Cash. So instead now you punch in how much somebody owes, you find their name, you put it in the cash register digitally, and then they get a receipt. Same thing. Okay? Do we have any questions about what Square Cash really is? Anybody? Okay, question in the room. Yes, you are, and we will go over that. Okay, the question in the room is, are you taxed at the end of the year by using Cash App? And yes, you can be, and I will show you how. So here's the first tip about Cash App. When you receive money, treat Cash App as a cash payment, point blank, cash payment. That's all it is a cash register. The next tip, because I think I drove that one home, is you need to have two accounts if you're using Cash App. So I'm not telling you that Cash App is bad to use. You just have extra steps you got to go through. So if you're going to use it for business, there is something called Cash App for Business. There's also Cash App Personal. So Cash App for Business has a few more steps that you do, and it's still a cash register system, but you need to have two separate accounts. I do utilize Cash App for my business. And in my business, I have one that's Shanice Cleggley, and I have one that's Smart Cookie Coaching. The Smart Cookie Coaching one, the only thing I do on that is Smart Cookie Coaching Business, because there's some people who only do Cash App. So I need to pay them, or they need to send me information the way that they do. But what I do is I reconcile my books by putting it on an accounting system. So when
Denise,
you're
can I-
reconciling your Cash App, yes, sir.
Can I add one more comment again? That tip
Yes.
number 2, have 2 separate accounts, business and personal. That goes not only for the Cash App, but it goes for your business in general. You want to have a separate banking account. When you take money in, you want to put in that account. We pay expenses out for your business. You want to pay for them out that. And the reason for that, if you get audited, you're going to have something that comes to the third party, the bank or whatever, says, this is money I made, took in, this is money I expensed. It's going to make your audit a lot easier. It's also going to make us accountants' life a lot easier. If you got just money going in a business account, coming out of a business account, so having to deal with your personal account. So it's very important. Again, one of the first things I tell clients who come in who have new businesses, make sure you keep your personal business out of your business. Keep everything separate. So that's a
Exactly.
great suggestion, okay?
And with my business account for my Cash App, it goes to my business banking.
Right.
It does not go to my personal banking account. When I say separate, I mean, it's totally separated. It goes to my business banking, my personal one goes to my personal banking. So the two do not meet. What I do have is I reconcile my Cash App transactions with my QuickBooks. Excuse me, I didn't bring in water. They wouldn't let me. Thank you. I do reconcile with my QuickBooks. Now, you do not have to use QuickBooks. This is not an endorsement for QuickBooks. Let me say that. There are tons of applications that you can use for systems. I prefer QuickBooks because it's easy and because most tax attorneys and most tax preparers can connect to QuickBooks and download things quickly. That's why I use it. So when you look at my bank statement, excuse me, when you look at my QuickBooks statements, what happens is you get, you see where it says cash in from Square. And I can relate that cash in from Square in my accounting system directly to the invoice that I sent out to that person. So that's reconciling to let me know that this person paid me. It came in under Cash App. So now it is considered a cash payment. I don't put it as check. I have it categorized so I know where it comes in. Because what happens is if you do an instant, deposit it, you're going to get a fee. So I also need to make sure that that fee is on my accounting system. The other thing that happens is there's a fee for the credit card that they might have used in order to go through my accounting system to pay it. So I got to make sure that's on there. So while yes, Cash App and some of these things are ease of use, there are fees involved. And my tax attorney will tell me, yes, you can write it off. No, you can't write it off. Maybe you need to reduce. Maybe you need to find a way. But I won't know how much I'm paying in fees if I don't mark each one of them down as a line item. So every single one of them has to be a line item. So yes, you can use Cash App, but now I have reconciled it with my accounting system. And my accounting system says, oh, you got money from Cash App. So now what happens is, bam, you got three things that I know needs to come out. What's the fee? How much did I deposit? How much came through? So if I do something called a profit and loss sheet, or if I'm doing something that say, hey, what did I make? I can say I brought in $20,000. I expensed $5,000. My fees this month were $2,000. My cash that came in, which is technically Cash App, was $10,000. My checks that came in was $5,000. So I can see how people are paying me and be fully aware of where my money's coming from. Let me see. It looks like we got a question. Oh, no, just somebody saying who you are. Okay. Ronnie, do you have anything to say about that part?
I think you're right. You got to reconcile your cash that comes in, okay? And you've got to pick up an accounting system. I got to tell you, Shanice, just so you know, when I grew up in the country outside of in Lexington County,
Uh-huh.
And this mobile stuff is just amazing to me. I had an 8-party line, which meant that there were 8 families on the same telephone line I was on. So you know, if I was talking to my fiance, which is now my wife, I would be talking to her, Miss Sheila, Miss Shumper, get on the phone and said, Ronnie, tell her good night. I'm going to phone and call somebody. Break it. So it's just mobile stuff. It's just amazing. I have in the palm of my hand sometimes a device that I can talk to anybody in the world, email anybody in the world, and also I can I get fax to people all over the world, which is just amazing. I've seen a lot of changes since I was young. So what you're doing here, though, with these cash apps changes businesses, absolutely changes business. I've got a son that's in business, and he uses the Square app is what he uses, and it's made a big difference in his business. Made a big difference from the standpoint of collections, okay, because people pay you on the spot. And also in his business, he gets tips, and people more apt to give you a tip when they're paying you on the spot with a credit card than they are when they pay you cash or something. So it's been there are wonderful things for businesses. So, all right.
It is. One of the great things about Cash App is, like Ronnie said, you can get paid on the spot,
Right.
which is amazing. Nobody has to say, wait, let me find you, that kind of thing. So it does make your money come in well. It's just the back end. You got to add those extra steps. You can't only use Cash App for everything. The other, it's like websites. I know there's so many people who say, oh goodness, why do I need a website? I have Facebook, but people can't reach you on Facebook. The website is your domain. It's that extra step that you need to do. And Ronnie, with the party line, my granddaddy had a party line, and party line is the first, to me, I feel like party lines are the first Zooms. It's the first conference line. For anybody who doesn't know a party line, you pick up the phone, you see if anybody's using it, and
Right.
there are like several families that's on there. So technically you can eavesdrop on other people's conversation as you're listening to it, because everybody had one line before all of the fiber optics and things going on. He lived in Mount Enterprise, Texas. And this was crazy because I was born in 1974 and they still had a party line.
How about
So
that?
absolutely crazy. So
You're right, Shanice. You could hear people pick up and listen to your conversations. So you had to be careful what you said.
you had to be careful what you say. You couldn't talk about your neighbor.
That's exactly right. Better be careful who you
So,
talk about.
I
But they all
told you
knew I
this
had a girlfriend. They all knew her name, and her name was Mary when I was talking to her. And they said, Ronnie, get off the phone. Tell Mary good night. You tell Mary good night. We gotta make a phone call. So,
That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
So here's tip number 4, which we already talked about. Square Cash App for Business or Cash App, Square Cash for Business or Cash App for Business may fit your processing needs more. If you find that you have people who want to use credit cards, you might have to use another product. Because remember, Cash App is cash. That person has to have the money into their bank account to use it. Now you can now connect your charge card to it, but it charges them 3% and not you. But you might want to get Square, which is the point of sale system. You may want to use Clover. You may want to use, there's so many ways that you now can do mobile banking. So choose the best one that's right for you. Go to your tax attorney or your CPA in order to see who's going to be best. Because you want to say, this is how much we're estimating we're going to make. This is how many cash items we think we're going to come in. What do you think is best? Same thing for your bank. When you're looking at your bank and you see, I have certain bank accounts, I have 2. One is mobile, one is a local bank. With the local bank, I have only a certain number of cash transactions that I can drop off as far as money. So because I have a few people who pay me in check. So I only have a few, but with my mobile bank, it's unlimited and I can do mobile deposits. So it's okay to shop around to see which processors are best for you. Tip number 5, don't leave your money on Cash App. Please don't do that. Transfer it daily. Not only does this build a relationship with your bank so that your true bank knows that you got money coming in, but when you have things like this grant that's coming through, you can show your financial statements. Yes, I use Cash App, but look, this is how much money I deposited in the bank. This is my profit and loss sheet. This is how much I spend. And when you are also reducing the security risk, Cash App is great, but people can hack it, just like they can hack anything else. And when you leave your money on there, you lose your money. Don't leave your money on Cash App. Please deposit it into your bank. And if you cannot get a bank account, there are several second chance bank accounts for businesses and personal. They say second chance, but they give you 2 and 3 chances. You have Wood Forest Bank, you have Optus Bank, you have a lot of banks that will take a chance on you if you've messed up your bank account before. It's okay, everybody has an issue, but please, by all means, get you a bank account so that you can make sure that you're depositing this money. And as you're doing these things, that when you have to do like apply for this grant, you have your paperwork that can get done. So here's a few things I want you to take away. Please remember, Cash App is a method of payment, not an accounting system. A method of payment. Okay, I want everybody to come off of mute with me. Come off of mute and let's say this together. Ready? Repeat after me. Cash App
Cash App
is a payment method,
is a payment method,
not an accounting system.
not an accounting system.
Thank you so much. All right, we got that down pat. Say it again. Here we go. Square Cash
Square Cash
Square Cash
has one purpose.
Square Cash
has one purpose.
one purpose.
has
Sending
one purpose.
and receiving
Receiving
payments.
payments.
Sending
And
and
receiving payments.
All right, we got that one down pat. Oh, you don't have to do this one. So you can get on mute now. Now to answer your question, Alan,
Man, this is the
Businesses-
best. Oh man.
you can say it if it's something good. This is the best what? I like good stuff. What you say? What you say? What? What you say, Tiara?
This is the best class ever.
Oh, good. Wonderful. So now let's look at this. Remember, businesses that process over 200 payments totaling, or if your payments total over $20,000, Cash App's gonna send you a 1099 because that means you made some money. And you got to use that 1099 in your taxes. All right, you would take it. And where it's located is in your email. They'll send you an email, or if you go into Cash App, there's a little thing that says, hey, find your tax information now. And it reminds you, and it'll keep reminding you until you download.
And
Yes, ma'am.
Shanice, this is Ronnie. This goes back to what you originally talked about too. Make sure you keep the business and the personal separate, okay? Because you don't want to have your personal money going in this. You get a 1099K that says you took in $25,000 and you only had 19,000 in business. The other 6 was family members, whatever, sending you money. Because then all of a sudden you got to reconcile. The IRS going to think you took in 26,000 or 25,000. You really aren't. They're going to compare that to your tax return. They say, what happened to the other $6,000? You want to make sure you certainly want to make sure you have a separate one for business and for personal. You made a point of that. But this gets down to nitty gritty. Is you don't want the IRS looking at something that says 26 and you only reported 19.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is why it is so important to separate it.
Right.
Ronnie said it best. If you got a personal one, it's your personal taxes. You got to do it, but they still gonna send it to you. They still gonna have you do it in your taxes so that people can know what's going on. And then your person can say, oh, you were sending and receiving money for family and friends. But as a business, if you made money, totally different concept. Yes, sir.
Well, doesn't that about the amount of person?
Exactly. The question was, it doesn't matter if it's personal or business, you're still going to do a 1099. Correct. They're still going to send you the 1099. But if you know that all your purchases were business, now that your accountant is going to handle that differently, than if you were doing it and transferring money back and forth for a family member or for yourself or as a bank account. Because what happens is, remember, Square is a bank. It has routing numbers. It has bank account numbers. Some people get their direct deposit on Square. So they use it as a bank statement. So it's between you and your accountant how you are categorizing it, but you will still get that 1099 if you hit these parameters. Yes, ma'am. Right. Well, I just know about Square. Square does it, and it has to be these parameters, 200 transactions or over $20,000. Okay, so it has to be, if you paid over $20,000 for her rent, then they would send you one. But if you didn't pay over $20,000, then they're not going to send you one. Now, this actually just came about. I think the laws changed last year, because so many people were using it and they were using it as under the table payments. And so now you can't do that anymore. They have to report it and they have to let you know, but these are the parameters that they came out with. Let me see if we got any questions online. Okay, so far I don't see any. Yes, ma'am. So the question is, I use contractors and you pay them with Cash App, okay? And you use GoDaddy Books as in the booking system? Okay. Should I add that as an expense in your books? So the fee that you pay to use GoDaddy Books already should be categorized as software and what you're using for your business in the accounting system. If you're paying contractors, then you need to send them a 1099 when you pay over $600 for any vendor per year to them. So yes, you still have to do it. Isn't that right, Ronnie?
You're absolutely right. Over $600, you got to prepare them a 1099. Okay.
You have to prepare for them,
that's right.
Which means that they got to send you a W-9.
That's
so
exactly
for instance,
they send you request from them, send them a W-9, request one from them, so you have their name, ID number, and address. Okay.
Right.
And then you send them a 1099, tell them much. The other part of that W-9 is whether or not you have to back up withholding. So if you're dealing with somebody who haven't been paying their taxes for a number of years and IRS catches them, they're going to have to check a box as it's back up withholding. That means you got to withhold from them and turn that money into the IRS for them. Because the IRS doesn't trust them to pay their own taxes. They make you withhold it at the source. Okay. So yes, you're right. It's a W-9 that you use. Okay. Right.
For instance, I have a assistant. I do not do withholdings for my assistant. She prefers to get paid in Cash App. So what I do is I paid her in Cash App. I have a W-9. I list it in my accounting system as me paying her. I send her a 1099 at the end of the year for her to do her own taxes. Plus I list it as a contractor who I pay over $600 as well. Now, I did that because it was a better choice for us. This year, she will probably become a full employee where I actually do employee taxes and that I actually do all the Social Security and everything. So I will no longer have to give her a 1099. I will then now start giving her a W-2. But to work out for the year, I needed to see if it was going to work. So she was an independent contractor. And in our contract, she sees that she is responsible for anything that goes over with the IRS, not me. So I hope that answers your question about contractors. Okay, wonderful. Last but not least, this is me. So glad to connect with y'all. If you need me, I'm on social media. This is all my social media pages. I'm gonna sit right here so y'all can take a nice picture and put me on Instagram. You got it? Okay, great. So take that screenshot, put it on Instagram, tag me and say, this was the best. Actually, I should probably do it with the first one. Let's do it with this first one by Cash App me. There we go. Ready? Now. Okay, great. So now tag me, say that you learned this at Richland County, that you got the Office of Small Business Development. I'm sorry. Oh, OSBO. OSBO, the Office of Small Business Opportunity for Richland County and Shanice Cleckley. Tag us so we can repost it for you and let people know of all the great opportunities that are down here. And that the fact that we have some Google workshops that are coming up. We have all kinds of things that are happening here. Please look on the website for Richland County. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie so he can give us this part that's really going to be the things that we need. Oh, wait a minute. I think Michelle has something for us first. Nope. Oh, she's going to pull your PowerPoint up. Okay, here you go. Let me make sure that is shareable for you, Ronnie.
All right. Let's see here. I think I got it.
You got it? There you
I
are.
think I got it.
You're there. Okay.
All right,
Take it
now,
away.
but hang on before you go.
Yes,
You can't
sir.
go yet. You're a hard act to follow. I'm an old accountant and you are a very, you have a great presentation skill. I'm gonna try to do as good a job as you, but I'm not sure I can. It's been a pleasure listening to you. You're gonna hang around and help with questions, right? They may have some
Yes,
questions.
I am.
You're gonna
I
be
am.
here. All right.
But
well,
what I'm
great.
gonna do is I'm gonna mute it so that
Okay.
I won't interrupt and you just let me know.
All right, well, if you have anything you want to say, please jump here and give some advice and let us know what you think about things, okay? All right,
Okay, sounds good.
And if somebody will monitor the chat for me while I'm doing this, let me know if there's any questions coming up. I'll be happy to, I can do that because I can't see my chat right here, okay?
We got you. We're gonna get you, Ronnie.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, I enjoyed it very much, okay? All right, so again, my name is Ronnie Bearcat, and I'm with the firm Bearcat. I'm in business with my twin brother, Donnie. I used to tell people I'm in business, but my brothers, and I had an older brother, Jimmy. I would tell them I'm in business with two brothers, Daryl and Daryl. People who are older, like I am, you know what that means. You used to watch some of these comedy shows. But anyway, we've been around for about 45 years. We've got an office here in West Columbia. We also have an office in Rock Hill. I've been very fortunate to do what I do. I was interested when you read about myself. I also, what's wrong is I have 6 grandchildren and 1 great grandchild. They said 3 and no great grandchildren. I guess I hadn't updated that in a while. And very fortunate to have the family I have. So first we're going to talk about building your financial infrastructure. And again, if you guys have any questions, please put in the chat or either unmute and ask me the question. I'll be happy to answer. And I would like this to be interactive where I'm just not talking to you for the next 30, 45 minutes or an hour. So what do we mean? What do we mean by infrastructure? Who wants to tell us what infrastructure means? What are we talking about? Just infrastructure in general. Anybody have a feel for what infrastructure is? There's been a lot of talk about infrastructure recently, right? And the Build Back Better. What are we trying to do in the government? What's the government trying to do? Provide more infrastructure, all right? So they want to talk about infrastructure? Well, if not, then I'll go ahead and talk about it. We're talking about infrastructure. When I think about infrastructure, I think about roads in particular. What kind of roads do you have? We've got goods coming in from the coast in Charleston. We got to have what? We've got to have roads to do what? To transport that information, to transport those goods, not only to South Carolina, but throughout the United States. So what are we talking about as far as infrastructure when it relates to business? Okay. All right. First of all, you've got to build your financial infrastructure. Okay. And why do you need an infrastructure? Why do you think you need an infrastructure? You need it so you can build your business and it can grow. Okay. You've got to also maintain your financial infrastructure once you get it built. And then you've got to help understand your financial structure. So what we want to talk about today is how to build your financial structure, how to maintain your infrastructure, how to understand your financial structure. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is financial structure, infrastructure. It's the underlying foundation for your business, your financial systems that assist in making your business successful. We talked about this earlier. You've got to know whether you're making money or not, okay? Shanice talked about it. What is your revenue and what is your expenses, okay? And you don't know, you can't tell whether or not your business is successful unless you have a financial structure, unless you have financial statements. So what is your scorecard for your business? It's what? It's your financial statements. It's your balance sheet income statement. Are you profit and loss? Did I make money during the month? Did I make money during the year? How much money did I make during the year? So you got to have some type of financial system in place to assist you in making your business successful. And any questions or comments about that? So how do you do this? And this is, I have an opportunity in the last 45 years to talk to a lot of people who started their businesses. And I've been able to spend 40, 30, 40, 45 years with some of these people who started businesses. They've been quite a pleasure. But what's the first thing you need to do when you start talking about forming a business? I think some of the things I hope you do is, number one, develop a business plan. And what does that mean? What does that mean, develop a business plan? Do y'all have a business plan? You know what that means? That means what? You go up, you decide in the marketplace whether or not this is something that you can be successful at. What's the opportunities there? And how are you going to actually transact your business? It can be as simple as how do I manufacture the product? How do I get new customers? All this other stuff. You need to come up with a business plan. And what do you think is going to happen in the business plan? The other thing is a budget. What you need to budget, what do you think you can do in revenue? And what do you think your expenses are? And I believe that one of the major mistakes people make when they're forming a business is that they don't have a business plan and they don't have a budget. Okay? So they have no idea how they're going to transact business, how they're going to get business in the door. They also don't have any idea of what the expenses are going to be and what it takes to cover those expenses. Okay? The other thing I'll tell you on this slide, I really think is very important in any business relationship is building a support network. And I think those on the call today, on the Zoom meeting today, you're doing that just by being on this call. You're listening to Shanice, you've got the Richland County to help you. So you're building a support network for your business. But I gotta tell you folks, it's great having somebody to help you with your business. So what do we feel like a good support network? Number one, you need to have a good banker. Now, a good banker can provide a lot of things for you. They can provide, number one, they can provide you your banking relationship, help you with your business. If you need a loan, if you need advice about your business, they can help with that. But the other thing I'll tell you, bankers in our business have been great referral sources for us. They've been helping us grow our businesses for the last 45 years, our business for the last 45 years. So they refer business to us, have a relationship with them. We also refer business back to them. But from a support network, they help us when we need a loan. They help us when we have any of our banking needs. And there are also folks we can refer our clients to give help to our clients. And we refer our clients to one of our banker friends that do a good job. It helps us very much from our business standpoint. Because a client that is successful, happy with your services, will refer you to other people. The next person you need to talk to is an attorney. I need to have a network, I believe, is an attorney. Lots of reasons that one of the reasons to help you determine what type of entity you should be, and we'll talk about this later on when you form your business. Should you be a corporation? Should you be a partnership? Should you be a sole proprietorship? What should you be? Okay. And they'll also help you in times of crisis when something's going on, whether it's an employee that's leaving that you have an issue with, whether it's one of your customers that's having an issue with what you've done. And they can also help plan your business with you. The next person is insurance. And these people are critical to your business. Number one, you need to make sure that you have the proper business insurance. That would be workman's comp, product liability, business interruption insurance, professional liability insurance. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're covered by insurance, because that cuts your risk. Okay. The other thing, make sure you've got plenty of health insurance. You got the right person with the health insurance needs for your business. Also, the other types of insurance you need is potentially life insurance. In my firm, we have multiple partners. We have life insurance on these partners. If something should happen to one of my partners and we have to buy them out, then we can go to the family members and not only express our sympathy or whatever, we can give them a check. Will help with the family needs in the future to buy out their interest in the business. So you need to have a good insurance company you can deal with. Also, what we found, you develop a relationship with a good insurance company, they see a lot of potential people who you could do work for or sell products to. They'd be helpful in that. The next thing is a good accountant, CPA. Doesn't necessarily have to be a CPA. I noticed when people were signing in and we talked about people signing in, Shanice talked about people signing in, that there were several accounting firms here on this call, on the Zoom call. Those are the type of people that I believe probably are local. You might want to try to connect with these folks. If you don't have somebody, get them to help you with your accounting needs. Certainly, we're willing to do that too. I believe in working with people local, people who are kind of in the same, who are starting their businesses too. So you may want to get with those folks. So maybe if a list is sent out to the folks on this call, on the Zoom presentation, maybe that's somebody you can contact here with it, but it is critically important. Again, as I said earlier, your financial scorecard in your business is your financial statements, your profit and loss. And you need to understand whether you're making money or you're not making money. And if you're not making money, how can you prove that and make money? If you are making money, same thing. Can you prove and make more money? Okay? And the next thing I think is important is a mentor. And these mentors can add a lot of value to you and to your business. Somebody who's in business similar to you, has similar needs as you, similar problems as you. One of the things we're in an alliance of CPA firms that's national, the BDO Alliance. I spend time with 15 other people who are in CPA firms our size throughout the country. They help mentor me. If I have an issue with something in the accounting practice, I go to these folks and I say, what are you guys doing? What are you ladies doing? Have you run across this before? They help me with that. They also give me suggestions about how to make my business better. Also, so the BDO Alliance is something in your business, find somebody who's been in it that can mentor you to help you along. Because you're going to have questions about what to do. What's the best way to do this? How can I improve my business? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve the life of my employees? Those types of things. And people who've been doing this for a while can be a big help to you. So hopefully you can find somebody who can help mentor you in your business. Okay. It's a lot like in your church, having somebody who you can talk to in your church can help you with your faith. Okay. All right. Trade organizations. Again, it's a wonderful thing to be in. They mentioned as they were going through my credentials, well, didn't know they were going to do that. And I'm a member of the South Carolina Association CPAs. There's other CPAs throughout the state. We get information from the South Carolina Association of CPAs about what's going on for CPAs in the state of South Carolina. I'm also a member of the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Again, nationally, they tell us what's going on for CPAs, how we can make our business better. I'm also on some valuation, have some valuation credentials, organizations that help me. So if you're in a business, you can get involved with a trade organization. They can give you information. Many trade organizations actually prepare a monthly or quarterly periodicals, magazines. They also have a website, and they also oftentimes send somebody to help mentor you in your business. Okay. Any questions or comments so far? Again, I want this to be interactive. I know this is kind of hard from Zoom, but I'd love for people to ask questions, give me comments. I mean, the question is, any of y'all have mentors? Do you have an attorney you have good bankers? Are you members of any trade organizations? Anybody found that helpful? And if so, speak up.
Ronnie, I want to add a little bit if I can with this.
Please do that, please.
Wonderful. When you're looking at your support system, there are your support system, you get the experts that's great for you. So if you have questions like payroll, when to put yourself on payroll, when to get contractors, how much to pay, that's great for your accountant. That's the person who's looking at your money. So if you're wondering about, when do I grow? How do I need to grow? What are some strategies? That's probably good for a mentor, for a coach, for women's business centers, regular business centers, SCORE, those kind of people. Your trade organizations are what's happening within your industry. If you're part of a food industry, a beverage industry, landscaping, there's always a trade organization. Your banker is good about, I want to make my money grow. How can I make sure that I have the right product? And your attorney, contracts. Some attorneys also deal in money. They also deal in business deals. So it just depends on the type of attorney you have. And then insurance, like Ronnie said, I also like to recommend short and long-term disability because you never know about long-term disability. Where can I find trade organizations? And also, is there a list? Where is a financial line that determines of a hobby and small business? Okay, great. So I'll help you answer some of these questions that go. So there was a question about trade organizations. Where do you find them? Google. I know it sounds crazy, but Google and your Secretary of State. We're in South Carolina. You can go to the Secretary of State and see what trade organizations are listed as a true charity or nonprofit. Start with what your passion is or what your business is. I'm in coaching. I'm in business development. So I will put in business development organizations or coaching associations, or for me, it would be like Chamber of Commerce. Those kind of places are trade organizations. That's where you can find them. Mentors, they're free mentors and then they're paid mentors. You have strategists and coaches who you can pay. You have business centers, you have SCORE, you have the library here in Richland County. We have an entrepreneur in residence program. All these people are places that you can go just to find the best one that fits for you. And when you look at what is a hobby and what is a small business, I have a personal reference to that more so than an actual number. For me personally, I feel that if you get paid for it, you're a professional. Really. If you're getting paid for it on an ongoing basis, even if you're not making the type of money you want, but if you're getting paid for it and you treat it like it is a part of what you're doing, it's a business. If you're planning and financially breaking it down and doing those things, it's a business. It's a hobby if you do it here and there and you just sell it. And even though you're a professional, but you don't really feel like it's something that you want to grow, then it's a hobby. But if you want to grow it, and some people are consummate, what's it called? Side hustles. So you can have a side hustle business that you never leave your regular job, but you know it will be a part of your life. That's a small business. It's okay. It really depends on the effort that you're putting behind it, the energy you put behind it. But whatever you do, financially, you just have to make sure that its infrastructure is correct, that you have the right bearings, that you may need to separate it as an entity. Hobbies, you keep it as sole proprietorship. You're not really trying to grow it. If you want to do something that's a little bit more involved, Ronnie will go over the different types of structures. Then you can decide what you want to do. That's my personal opinion. But what do you think, Ronnie? Those are some of the questions that came up.
I think those are wonderful answers, and we can kind of expand on not only your support network, but your support network can also be the Chamber of Commerce in your area. Those are people in business that you can get to know. They can help support you not only by giving you advice, but also being a part of your business, buying products from you. You can sell product to them. That's another thing. The other thing the other thing is that I believe in getting involved in some type of nonprofit organization, helping other people. That's a good thing to do, get to know other people. It's also a good thing to do. You know, it's a wonderful thing to do, to get to do that. I've been fortunate in my life to be able to do things like that I really appreciated. I've been on the board of Midlands Tech for 17 years. I've been chairman of a lot of other organizations, and it means a lot to me to be a part of the community. Okay, not just I'm not there just to build. I'm not there to build business. I'm there to give back the community that's given to me. So you remember your chambers of commerce. Don't just go to the meetings. Get involved. Find something you can do with the Chamber of Commerce. Be involved in some type of nonprofit or some type of organization. I don't care what's the JCs, the Lions Club, whatever it is. Get involved. Okay, be involved. Get to know people because you're out there. That helps you from a standpoint of, again, you can find somebody that can help you with your business, help mentor you, help you in a lot of different ways. Yeah. And I like your answer about how to file trade organizations. You're absolutely right. There are plenty of them out there. And if you're in a business as a trade organization, it'd be foolish not to take advantage of that in my mind, because that's people who've been doing this for a number of years. They're writing about it, talking about it, giving you information about it, and you can learn. Okay. You can learn a lot by listening to other people and reading what other people do, I believe. Okay. All right. Any other questions there before we move on? Anything else?
Nope, we got them all.
All right, thank you. Please come in anytime you want. We're delighted to have you, your comments and your wisdom as we go through this. So thank you very much.
I'm right here to the side. I got you.
All right, all right. All right, now, one of the main things when you start building your financial infrastructure is what type of business should you be? And we're not going into a lot of depth about this, but I want to explain to you, as you form a business, okay, you got to determine what type of business entity you're going to be. And the things you look at when you try to determine what type of business entity you're going to be is, number one, the risk that's involved in your business. Okay, what if something happens? All right, protecting your interests, your personal assets, okay, and then complexity as it relates to doing your tax returns. Okay. So if you go to an attorney, and a lot of times attorneys don't help with this, we'll help give advice. An attorney will tell you you need to be X. For instance, if you are in the food service business, if you're a restaurant, most times an attorney, and I'm not an attorney, I'm not giving you legal advice, but most time an attorney is going to tell you you need to be incorporated. The reason they tell you to be incorporated has nothing to do with tax situation. It has to do with the fact that somebody comes into your restaurant, they get sick, and they sue you. You want to have a corporation. They can sue the corporation, but you have a shield between you and the corporation. So they can't sue you. They can only sue the corporation. So you have what's called a corporate shield. So they'll tell you in many cases, if you've got high risk in the business you're in, you want to have some type of corporate shield to protect your personal assets. Because if something should happen and you don't have that protection, then whatever's going to happen, the person's going to they're going to sue you, and they're going to sue you, the business also. So they're going to suggest typically you be a corporation, or we'll talk about an LLC in a minute. They're going to typically tell you there would be some type of entity that gives you protection. And that's a corporation or an LLC, and we'll talk about it in a minute. The other thing that in a corporation, you'd be a C corporation or an S corporation. Again, without getting a lot of detail, what this means is a C corporation is a corporation that pays its own taxes, files tax return and pays its own taxes. An S corporation files its own tax return. If it makes $100, the shareholders pay tax on $100. It doesn't pay tax itself. That income flows through to the shareholders. And that's where we get involved, helping decide whether you want to be a C corporation or S corporation. All right, partnerships. There's multiple types of partnerships. You want to be a general partnership or limited partnership. If you're a general partnership, again, all your general partners, if something happens in the business gets sued, then all those general partners potentially are liable. If it's a limited partnership, say you and I in a business, I'm a general partner, I'm the one running the business. We get sued for something, they'll sue the partnership, and then they'll sue me, but they can't get to you. The only thing they can get to you is the amount of money you have invested in the business. The next thing is a sole proprietorship. And if a sole proprietorship just means you're the only owner, and that's a pretty simple form on your tax return. It's a Schedule C, which is a profit and loss statement on your tax return. So all your income flows through to you on your personal tax return, all your expenses are deducted in your personal tax return, and this becomes part of your personal tax return. The corporations, whether you're C or an S, or partnerships, a separate tax return, okay? And then it talks about an LLC, single member, LLC member. Like again, if you're a sole proprietorship, you may want to be an LLC. All that means is now you'll tell the world, tell people you're an LLC, which again is the way to hopefully protect your personal assets. Now, there's a difference in that. I want to get into some legal difference in that. But what you're trying to do is protect your personal assets. So you can be a corporation, either a C or an S, partnership, either general or limited, sole proprietorship, and a sole proprietorship can be an LLC, or also a partnership. You can choose to be an LLC. And an LLC means a limited liability company. So the reason you form that is to limit your liability. Okay? Any questions about that? Once you start your business, it's important to determine what type of entity you should be, not only from a liability standpoint, but also from a tax standpoint. All right? Go ahead, Shanice. All right.
Ronnie?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
You
here we
have-
go, being a sole proprietor.
Pardon me?
Hold on.
Okay.
It's just, can we get a little bit more clarification on being a sole proprietor and a
Okay.
single member LLC?
All right, so that's a great question, okay? So a sole proprietor, many of my clients are sole proprietors, okay? They have a business ABC company, okay? And they file the profit and loss statement on the Schedule C. It goes on the individual return. So it just goes in the individual return. So you're the only owner, can only be one owner in the business. It just goes in your tax return. And that reduces the cost of doing your tax return. It's all on one form. The other two, the corporation and partnership, you got to do those returns, and that flows through to your individual return. So a single member LLC, we suggest in many cases, if you're a sole proprietor, you're single, you're the only owner, go ahead and do a single member LLC. Go ahead and do that, because that'll give you some protection. If one of your employees, if you tell, this is an example I was given in college years ago, you got one of your employees and you've got a big truck and you got a big truck. Again, I'm not a lawyer. This is an example it was given. You got a big truck and the battery's been going dead in a couple of times. And your employee decides, I'm gonna go charge the battery by going down the interstate by 100 miles an hour. They drive down the interstate 100 miles an hour and hit somebody and kill them, okay? If you're a sole proprietor, you've got liability for that, okay? Now, if you're a single member LLC, potentially you don't have liability for that unless you told them to go down on the interstate and drive 100 miles an hour. If they chose to do that themselves and you didn't instruct them, then you've got some limits on liability. So many sole proprietors we do business with, we suggest you be a single member LLC. It doesn't mean you got to have a different form. It's all filed complete. It's all filed the same on Schedule C on your tax return. And it's very simple to do. And all you have to do is inform anybody you're an LLC. You put that in your name. So it's ABC Company LLC, and all your checks say ABC Company LLC, and all of your invoices say ABC Company LLC.
So the way I like to describe it too with an LLC and sole proprietor, when it's a sole proprietor, it's like your business is still attached to you.
Right.
And everything that happens in your business, you are responsible for. When you
Right.
get an LLC, it's like you gave birth to that child, to that business. So I know you're a man and you're not used to this, but let's go back to biology. So in biology, you know, mama's connected with that
Right.
umbilical cord.
Right.
So when you are sole proprietor, that umbilical cord is still attached.
Right.
But when you become an LLC, the Secretary of State actually cuts it.
Right.
And then that business becomes its own entity that
Right.
it lives, it breathes, it does everything. It gets a social security number, which is an EIN. It gets a birth certificate, which is your articles of organization. It gets a driver's license, which is your retail license or your business license. It lives and breathes. It even gets its own debt because it goes to Dun & Bradstreet and it makes sure that it has its own bank account. So you really cut the cord when you do an LLC. So that's the difference.
And you're right, when you do that, you become, you have a different identity, different fellow, you have all this stuff. But again, the reason we suggest people do that is to limit their liability, okay? Now, keep in mind, if you are a single member LLC, and as in my example, you told your employee to go drive that truck 100 miles an hour and it kill somebody, since you told them, you're still liable. It's not limit your liability there. So you still got to be careful. You still don't have any limit liability in what you do, but it does limit your liability. It does give you a separate identity. But again,
Okay.
for tax purposes, it's disregarded. It still goes on your tax return, your personal tax return, part of your 1040. Okay,
Right.
which that's a great way to explain it. Great way to explain it. Okay.
We still got another question.
Okay.
Right from the sole proprietor to a limited liability LLC.
Okay.
You change the tax ID
Yes,
and all, you have to go to the Secretary of State to change all the information.
you do.
Just add that on.
No, so the question is for everybody else is, how do you go from being a sole proprietor to an LLC? That is handled by our Secretary of State. The
Right.
Secretary of State, which is Mark Hammond, you can go to sos.sc.gov. And the Secretary of State is also down on Pendleton Street. The Secretary of State will say, hey, you want to form a new entity, a business entity. You go in, you choose your name. You cannot have a name that's the same name of somebody else within our state. You have to have a different name. And so they'll check to make sure that there are no trademarks, no patents or anything like that. They'll check over all of your information. You'll put that down and they'll give you something called an article of organization, which means that it's basically your birth certificate for your business. And that articles of organization makes you officially a business. Now it costs $125 if I'm not mistaken. And then you keep that. After you get that articles of organization, then you go get the EIN number from the IRS. You cannot get it before because technically you haven't formed it. You gotta form it first. Then you go get the EIN number, which is going to be associated with that articles of organization. Now you will have to put your social security number down because you're filing as an LLC. And as Ronnie said, it goes on your taxes, but they also want to make sure that you're a real person, that you're not just going out creating numbers just to create numbers. That takes 5 minutes. It doesn't take long. And then once you finish that, you are now considered registered from that standpoint in the state. There are other things you got to do after it, such as insurance, like Ronnie said, you got to do your business license. Also recommend a Dun & Bradstreet number, a D&B number, or a paydeck that starts with paydeck scores, where you building business credit, but that gets into business credit, which is a whole nother class. So we're not gonna go over that. But there are other things you do after, but as far as the state is concerned, you got to get that articles of organization, as well as that EIN after you organize, not before. And Tiara, I think you had a hand up. Did you have a question still?
I do. So my question is, so when I was on the SAMS registering the DUNS and everything, the SAMS registry, it asked a question at the end and it was like, are you a single member LLC or a disregarded entity? I went to the IRS website and I read it, but I did not understand completely. It was like, it's a yes or no question. I'm sorry, it wasn't on the SAMS website. It was on a rebuttal email they sent me. But they asked about my LLC or disregarded entity. I didn't really understand that.
So are you an LLC in the state?
I am.
All right. So can I just try to answer? First of all, that question doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because if you're a single member LLC, you're a disregarded entity for tax purposes, okay? So this one and the same. So if you're a sole proprietor, you file a Schedule C. If you're a sole proprietor and you're elected to be a single member LLC, you do the same thing, you're disregarded. What that means is you don't file a tax return for that single member LLC. It all goes on your personal tax return. So I'm not sure how to answer that question either. The answer is yes, you are disregarded if you're a single member LLC. Okay?
So Tiara, they probably had meant to put parentheses around it.
Right.
And they didn't. So That's probably what it is. So I want to let everybody know we got about 8 minutes to finish.
8
So
minutes.
8 minutes. So Ronnie, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go through, and then
Well,
we'll
that's a-
hold it for a little bit unless there's a burning question. We'll have to come back for part 2.
Well, keep in mind that a lot of this stuff that we've sent out has to do with accounting, financial statements, so we may not get to that. We just want to make sure we had plenty of stuff in here. All right. Next thing we talked about was accounting software, and we've already hit on that. Okay, some. So then financial accounting, you got to determine the payroll system. Couple things. You can outsource your payroll. You do payroll yourself. Or as I mentioned earlier, you've got some accounting firms there that can help you with your payroll. Just make sure that's done right and done timely, because if you don't do it right, you don't do it timely, you'll have lots of issues with the IRS and Department of Revenue. Okay. The other thing is understand all the taxes related to your business. You've got income tax, you've got sales tax, your use tax. If you're in Richland County, you're gonna have a license. If you're inside the city limits, you have a business license. If you're in Lexington County, it may not be a business license. Determine what the license has to be. So you license your business, you got to pay your property taxes and your payroll taxes. Okay. All right. All right. And maintaining your financial infrastructure. Okay. You got to make sure that you balance your book income to your taxable income. We'll talk about later on. And again, I just mentioned this. You got a fiduciary responsibility for your sales tax and your sales tax and your payroll taxes. What that means is not your money. If you withhold $100 for sales tax from somebody, that ain't your money. It's the state's money. You withhold $100 in payroll taxes, federal withholding, FICA withholding from somebody. It's not your money. It's the government's money. You're just an agent for them. If you don't pay it in, there's lots of potential issues, not the least of which is potential criminal. Okay. Then it talks about timely access to key financial information. We talked about this earlier. You want to make sure you have financial statements on a monthly basis. Okay. Then the accounting concepts are accrual and cash method. The way I describe this, the accrual method is you account for money when you bill it. So when you send a customer an invoice, that's income to you. And you account for something when you get an invoice in to pay. So when you send a bill out to your customer for $100, that's revenue to you. When you pay an invoice for services rendered for $50, and when you receive that invoice, it is an expense to you. Okay. Cash basis is exactly the opposite. What that means is that when you receive the cash is when you pay tax on it, and when you pay the expense, then that's when it's deductible to you. Okay. All right. And at the end of the day, you want to know on an accrual basis whether you're making money or not. That's not going to really tell whether you're making money or not. This next slide just talks about what I just talked about when you report revenue, when you report expenses. Okay. And this is something your tax professional can help you with. When you form a business, you want to be on accrual or cash method. I can tell you if you can be on the cash method, it's probably what you want to be in from a tax standpoint. But you want to know from a finance standpoint, are you making money on an accrual basis? It's not just what cash I have in the bank account, it's whether I'm making money when I send invoices out, when I incur expenses. Okay. The next one is nuts and bolts of financial statements. You need to understand basically two different financial statements. The first one is a balance sheet. A balance sheet to me is a snapshot of what you owned and what you owed at a particular point in time. So if you have cash of $100 and other assets worth $300, then you've got assets of $400. If you owe the bank $100, you owe credit cards $50, then you owe $150. So that's a snapshot. That's a particular point in time. So at December 31st, 2021, what did you own and what did you owe is a snapshot. And the difference in what you own and what you owe is your net worth. Okay. An income statement is in me, it's like a motion picture. It's not a snapshot. So what was your revenue from January the 1st of 2021 to December 31st, 2001, 21? And then what was your expenses from January the 1st of 2021 to December 31st, 2021? It's just a motion picture. What was all of your sales amounted to, and what did all expenses amount to? You take the income, your sales minus your expenses, that tells you your profit. The last thing that we talk about is really important, is the statement of cash flows. Again, this goes back to accrual of cash basis. You may be making money, but you may not have any cash. So if you've got customers owe you $100,000, it's not been converted in cash, and you paid all your bills, it may show that you made $100,000, but you don't have any cash. So what's critically important is not the income of business that hurts them or causes business to go out of business. It's because of the cash flow. You got to make sure you collect your debts, what people owe you. Yeah. And let's go to the next slide here. And we talked about the balance sheets. You've got assets, those are things of value, liabilities, things you owe, and equity is the difference between your assets and liabilities. That's really what I consider your net worth. The next thing is we're giving you just a sample balance sheet. I did not intend to go through this with y'all, but you can see one of the things we always do is compare your balance sheet from last year to this year. You look at this balance sheet, had cash at the end of 19, $135,200. They had cash at the end of 18, $122,500. They better off by $12,700. We compare these, see how you done last year to this year. Okay. And we'll skip this slide because I've already talked about this. This is an income statement. You can see this setup where you've got sales, less cost of sales gives you your gross profit. We talked about that earlier, and then you got all your other expenses. Again, we compare 2019 to 2018, the net income. At the bottom of the page, you see they lost $26,900 in 18. They made $41,100 in 2019. So this is typical of a new business that doesn't make money in the first year, but hopefully you make your money in the next year. Okay. All right. We'll skip this slide. Statement of cash flow we talked about. We'll go on to another slide here. Reconciliations, we've kind of talked about those too. It's important you reconcile your bank accounts, keep your personal bank account away from your business bank account. And then you do all the reconciliations, you need to do them monthly. You don't need to do it like my wife and say, listen, I'll have to reconcile bank accounts, I'm married to a CPA. Okay. And by the way, I've got checks and I've still got some checks up there. Don't neglect it. It's very important you know how much money you have. How are we doing on time? I think we're getting close to the end. Is that true?
Oh yeah, we're at the end.
We're at the end. So I will, just a couple other things. We spent a lot of time talking about bookkeeping here. Again, I didn't intend to go through all this. This is to give you food for thought. My advice to you, choose somebody to help you from an accounting standpoint, choose a good attorney, okay? And then help get somebody to mentor you and take advice from other people, okay? All right, that's it for me unless I have any questions. Well, I can't hear you, somebody.
I know you can't because I hit that mute button. Crazy.
And we certainly
I do want to back up because I'm gonna be transparent about those sales taxes. When I had my business the first year or so, yeah, I didn't separate my sales tax out. So I wind up owing the Department of Revenue. So I will say, as Ronnie said, depending on how you can do it, just put it in a separate bank account. That is the government's money and not yours. So don't get caught up when you see those sales tax written up, and don't get scared of it because it's not anything that you have to put in. All you're doing is transferring. You're the go-between. You're the person to make sure that they can have it. So if you're in retail, it's okay. Don't worry, just breathe. That's the other thing, everybody. I want y'all to just hold your shoulders back and breathe. We've talked a lot about money. Money makes people nervous. We've talked about finances and taxes and the big Uncle Sam. It's okay. It's all just money and it's energy. You will make it. You will give it out, but it will flow. So you're going to be just fine. Ronnie, if you can stop sharing for a minute, that would be great.
I will
And
be
then I
happy.
can look and make sure that everybody is taken care of and see whether or not our friends here at the Richland County have any questions. I don't see anything in the chat room. I think we've got it. We got a question over here in the room. So hold on one second. Let's see. Yes, ma'am. Yes. The slides will be available for everyone, as well as there's a recording. It will be on their YouTube page. It will be on the YouTube page, the Richland County Office of Small Business Opportunity YouTube page as well.
Thank you so much for this, class. They're helpful to me, not
Good. Oh, good. So Ronnie, we got to thank you. It was helpful. We did all right, dude. We got that.
Well, I certainly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed meeting with you the other day and all the folks there. It was a pleasure to get to spend some time with y'all. And maybe we can do this again sometime in person and not do it just through Zoom. So
Oh,
I like
yes.
doing things in person. But thank you for
Tiara?
inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of it.
You still got one more question. Yes, Miss Tiara Mack.
I'm sorry, this is my last question. Okay, so my question is, with a single member LLC, is it beneficial? And I know this may be, I don't know if it's too extreme, you know, you don't have to answer, but is it beneficial to pay yourself with a 1099 on your taxes?
Okay, so if you're a single member LLC or a Schedule C, you cannot pay yourself a 1099. You're gonna pay tax on the net income of the business. So you should not be paying yourself, number one, payroll or W-2, or be paid a 1099. Because you're gonna pay tax on the money, on the profit of the company. All right, you're not gonna pay tax on what you take out, you can pay tax on the profit of the company. Now, obviously, you don't have any profit, you can't take any out. It's kind of, you know, cart before the horse thing, but but no, you do, it's not beneficial and you should not do it because it's not the right thing to do, okay?
So I want to then clarify when I say I hope you're paying yourself, meaning when you're looking at your pricing and you're looking at the things that you do, account not just for how your business runs, but for your own time.
Right.
That's what I mean
Absolutely.
by paying yourself. If you're an LLC, now if you're an S Corp or C Corp or however you do it, oh yeah, put yourself on payroll if you can. That's how you do it. But
That's
when I
right.
mean pay yourself, because there's an amount of money that goes to run the business, and then there's an amount of money that goes in order to profit for the business. But then there's a whole nother bucket right there that money's not accounted for. Make sure that bucket is yours because you got to live. I don't want to eat ramen noodles unless it's from the ramen house downtown. But I don't want to eat the 25-cent ones all the time. How about that? All right. And, there is a hand raised, Lakeisha.
I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. As a single member LLC, you shouldn't do the 1099. Does that mean you should do the W-2?
No, as a single member LLC, if you're the owner, you should do neither one. You should not do a W-2 or 1099. You should not do a W-2 or 1099. You tax on the profit of the business, not what you take out, okay? But again, if you don't have a profit, you can't take anything out. So at the end of the day, it's your sales, less your cost of sales, less your operating expenses, gives you a profit. That's what you pay tax on. And you take that money out as you can, as your cash flow allows.
So the government is assuming that the money that you have coming in is your paycheck.
That's right.
That's basically what
That's
it is.
right. You're
So-
taking out the profits of the company. That's exactly right. That's a good way to put it. You're actually taking out the profits of the company. But
Right.
you can't do a W-2, you cannot do a 1099. Should not do
You-
either one. If
You
you're.
send
and this is a-
1099s to people, not
That's
yourself, to
That's
other
right.
people.
And the question was single member LLCs or
Right.
Schedule C, which is a Schedule C for tax purposes. That's correct.
Yes, sir. One more in the room.
Thank y'all for clarifying. I appreciate it.
All right.
How do you use it to apply for a loan? So certain banks ask for certain financial documents. So what they will do is when you apply for a loan at a bank, they're looking at the complete financial health of your business. So many of them will ask for profit and loss sheets, which will be over a period of time and says, I want a profit and loss sheet for the last year. I want one for the last 3 months. And they'll see how much you've made based on how much you have taken out. Some of them will ask for bank statements, which is why I say if you're using Cash App, deposit that money in the bank, because they need to see that you have ongoing money in there. Every institution has their own way to figure out how much you're going to do. But unless you have an accounting system or something that's happening that goes on to show it, they won't know. So cash transactions, you got to be able to show it. That's why accounting systems are so important for you to be able to have.
And you're absolutely right. They're going to want your financial statements. They want your history. They want to make sure you're making money. You can pay back. What they're looking for is 2 things: a source of repayment. Are you making enough money to repay this loan? And they're looking for some kind of security on that. That's what they're looking for. The bankers are.
I think we got time for one more question. I saw somebody in here. I was thinking that I couldn't get paid from all the work I've been doing. Thanks for clearing that up. Yes, you are getting paid. It just doesn't look like it used to look when you worked for somebody else. It just looks a little different, that's all. But it's still money. So if you made 100,000, your operating cost was 10,000, which would be amazing if that was the case. And then you have other expenses that you're paying, that's another 5,000 or so. Then that's only 15,000. Then you made what, the 85? You made 85,000. It's like that. But it just doesn't look like a check going in the bank all the time. Get it? Okay. All right, guys, y'all want to finish it up? I'm going to turn it over now to the great Michelle. Come on in.
Thank you, Shanice. And just before Pam comes forward to do the closing remarks, I'd just like to remind everyone to fill out our survey. Without those surveys, we don't know how we're doing from your viewpoint, and we definitely need them to know what else you would like. So when you get that email from us, please fill out that survey. I'm turning it over to Pam now.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much to Shanice and Ronnie. Really great information. And just from the questions that were asked, I see the wheels are turning as far as making sure that your financial infrastructure is set up properly. So there may or may not be a part 2, Shanice. We'll look at that. But again, thank you to all of you for being so attentive. For those of you that are in the room with us, I failed to basically recognize the OSBO team, which you had an opportunity to see Michelle Rosenthal, who is our business development person. You heard from Margaret Jones earlier, who is our certification and compliance specialist. I am Pam Green Swinton, the assistant manager, and Erica Wade is the manager who is out on vacation until next week. Thank you so much for your time today. We want to reiterate for those of you who may be interested in becoming an SLBE with our office, the county has about 28 different departments who are always procuring products and services. So we are looking for businesses. Part of what we do is to advocate for small businesses and to look for opportunities and source for opportunities as far as contracts with the county, as well as with some of our partners. So again, thank you again. I can't say it enough to Ronnie Bearcat, and Shanice Cleckley of Smart Cookie Coaching LLC. You guys have done a phenomenal job, giving a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise to the group, and we look forward to seeing all of you in our next workshops. As we stated before, you will have access to the slides, and all of this has been recorded and will be on our website as well as Richland County YouTube. Until next time, we'll see you guys. The best with you all and in your businesses. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm the only one that's on. Okay.